I call this meeting to order at 7:31 p.m. Good stuff. I got it together. And we will move to Section 2 roll call. Clerk Carter.
With 20 members present, simple majority is 11 and 2/3 majority is 14.
Wonderful stuff. Now we'll move to Section 3, introductions and reports. 3.1, we do not have any messages from the student body president, so we'll move to 3.2, report from the executive branch, Vice President Fawn.
Good evening, everyone. I hope your week went well, and I hope midterms are going well if you're taking any this week. I just have a few things. So this week, today, President Howard and I met with Provost Lefevre, so we discussed some concerns that we had about a variety of different topics, ranging from engagement in the different colleges to some other concerns we had about academics. We also met with Dr. Hall earlier this week, where we discussed potentially creating a parking committee to reevaluate parking issues on campus and really address them a little more head-on. We also talked about working with the foundation a lot more. So one thing that might happen is the foundation having a person to specifically work with student affairs, and through that our goal is to connect RSOs a little bit more with the foundation and really make it easier for RSOs to start foundation accounts and really get that process started to help with appropriations and everything. In addition to that, at the PET meeting with the constituent heads, deans, and other university administration, we talked about connecting every senator with their dean and really reaching out. Within the next week or two, you should get an email from me just connecting you with your dean from your college. You might get more than one email if you're in the honors college, and plus your regular academic college, or if you're in the graduate school. So those should be coming out soon. Another thing that we've been working on is really getting feedback from students about what we can do better on the executive side of things. We will put out an inquiry form soon through our social media on different things that students can give us feedback on, or just things that they want us to look into. For Director Nguyen, she is collaborating with Shockers Vote for boba and ballots tomorrow on the RC North patio from 11 to 1. If you want to help table, please talk to your leadership, and maybe we can get you signed up to help out with that a little bit. SGA is also going to be participating in the trunk or treat event on the 19th. So if you're interested in signing up for that, again, reach out to leadership and we can get you signed to our card that we have. Hopefully we can come up with something really fun for decorations, but we're still brainstorming on that if anyone has any suggestions. And then Director Wood is also working on plans for next semester, and she is open to any outreach ideas that that you might have. She should be creating a form that will go out really soon. For undergraduate advocate Wassinger, she's working. She was asked last week to serve as an advisor for a conduct case, which resulted in the clearing of all charges for the student who has been falsely accused. She currently also has 12 active cases, including 8 academic appeal cases, 1 harassment and 1 discrimination case, 1 parking appeal, and 1 student preparing a memorandum to utilize the Supreme Court's appeal power, and then 1 student that needs late enrollment assistance. For SOC Chairperson Chohan, she's planning the next SOC meeting. An email should have gone out already to RSOs about when the meeting is, and then if anyone has any suggestions for what she should do for the meeting, she is open to feedback. And she's also working on a guide for student organizations to help transition better for different roles within organizations, but also in creating transition constitutions. So if an organization needs a new constitution or needs to revise that, Chairperson Chohan and Clarence Albury from the Student Engagement and Belonging Office is working on creating that. For Director Fritz, she's working on recruiting more freshman leadership council members. If you know any freshman that is interested in that, they're still taking in people. But for this week, in the next few weeks, they'll be working with the Student Engagement Belongings Engaging Leaders class for professional development for their freshmen. So those that are in their Engaging Leaders class will go to a Freshman Leadership Council meeting and really try to, they will have professional development, leadership development sessions to help them guide them through their leadership journey. And that's really exciting for me. But Treasurer Wong also, in the past week, heard two organizational funding requests as a finance commission. We approved all 4 of those, different amounts. Not all of them were approved for their full amount, but if you have any questions, I would be more than happy to answer those. Our applications for finance commission is still open, so we have a few spots left, but I would want to clarify that for finance commission, you have to be a part of that constituent group or college to apply for that position. I know we had some confusion in the past day or so with students that applied for a different commissioner seat that they did not fall under, didn't fall under that group. So just to be sure, if you know anyone that's interested, just let them know that they have to apply for a group that they fall under in order to apply. For Director Lunje, he is still working with Wichita Transit and is drafting a list of hotspots and key destinations throughout the state of Wichita for international students. He is also working with the director of the Office of Student Success for the mentorship program that we're planning, and we're also working with TM Mentors a little bit to get feedback on how that might work out, but we're still open to feedback or any additional ideas for that. But that's pretty much all I had for you all today. I will stand for questions if anyone has any.
Are there any questions for Vice President Pond? Senator Iwint?
Earlier on, when you were talking about the potential creation of like the parking committee, you referenced the foundation a couple times. Can you clarify what directly that's in reference to?
Yeah, of course. So the foundation and the parking committee are 2 separate things. So when I was talking about the parking committee, that'll be a separate committee. Dr. Terry Hall and Dr. Aaron Mitchell, the new Vice President of Finance Administration, they're working on creating a new parking committee that will be a little more active, and that we can get more things done a little easier instead of a bunch of senators going to one person or me going to another person, just to alleviate communication a little bit better. And then for the foundation, that's a separate thing that we've been working on. So I'm also working with the foundation president and Dr. Hall and trying to make it a little easier for student organizations to start foundation accounts and get connected a little bit better that way. But does that answer your question?
Are there any other questions? Okay, seeing none. Okay, we move to 3.3, report from the Speaker of the Senate. All the stuff I said in Committee of the Whole, but I'll just repeat it here. Midterm elections have lapsed, and the legislative branch will have 10 senators joining us, with a few of those individuals being interim senators that have retained their seats. Yippee, good stuff. October 23rd is the first meeting the new senators will be joining us, so make sure you are making this space comfortable, so each new member can feel comfortable and confident within the space to ask any questions that are necessary. You all know what it's like to be new in this space and how daunting it can be to learn new things and learn Robert's Rules of Orders and how to, participate in resolution writing and those kinds of things. So make sure you're all being kind. I know you all will do very well and make me proud. So. Beyond that, we will not be having Senate next week on October 16th. I discussed this earlier as well, but just for everyone, due to the timing of fall break, it being the 12th through the 15th, puts it at an interesting time, and I would be remiss to not allow all of you one more day of a break. Additionally, and more importantly, our new members will be joining us the 23rd, as I stated, and Senate leadership and I would like a little bit more time to get together with these new members to transition them into this space. So enjoy this respite and live it up, folks. I'll be going over the transition guide and those kinds of things that I was able to give all of you. You all had a beautiful transition in this space with the retreat and those kinds of things. These new members will not have that, so it'd be important for us to spend that next week making sure these people are comfortable, confident to get in this space and start advocating for students. Yeah, that piece is there. Additionally, for the Committee on Funding that was established by President Howard following appropriations, I discussed with all of you that I have the privilege of appointing 3 senators to said committee. So please let me know if you're interested. I need you all to tell me if you're interested. There's a lot of discussion on appropriations, so hey, I know some of you have things to say. And as we get into student fees as well, those discussions need to be had about fixing that process and establishing those kinds of things and making sure that when it comes to funding, that those systems work, and that we're here in this space to advocate for students in any way we can, and funding is a huge part of that. So, the final thing is Food for Fines is this week, October 7th through the 11th. So if you have a parking ticket, I suggest you donate this week, please, I beg you. It's a fantastic system that's created in order to donate, and we get that food and put it to good use. So definitely donate if you can. If you don't have a parking ticket, that's okay, good job. Then, go to your friends or those kind of things, tell them that it's this week, and it'll be until the 11th. But that's all I have to say. Make sure you take care of yourself this break. Any questions? Stunning stuff, okay, good stuff. Now we'll move to 3.4, report from the Government Oversight Chair, Chairperson Bobbitt.
Hello, everybody. The Government Oversight Committee met today, and after some discussion and amendments, passed the Judicial Clarification Act, and we are looking forward to bringing that to the Senate with a recommendation to pass here in a couple weeks. Then the Shockers Vote Coalition will be holding a deliberative dialogue session, and we'll go ahead and get out that information. Yeah, that's about it for me.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, we move to 3.5, report from Academic Affairs Chairperson Grajeda.
Hello. Like Speaker Owens mentioned during Committee of the Whole, I did retain my seat in the midterm election, so I can continue to serve as a chairperson. And I'm looking forward to getting some new members in my committee as well. Last week, there was no committee and no faculty senate. But from Faculty Senate, I have no formal update on the proposed course schedule changes that I've mentioned a couple times here. But Faculty Senate is in the process of soliciting feedback from students, faculty, and staff. And we're working with the president of the Senate on having a representative come speak in public forum and kind of give us the breakdown and answer any questions. Academic Affairs this week met in an impromptu joint meeting with Student Services, where we discussed our overlapping issues having to do with academic accommodations not being met. And then we just kind of went around the room and everybody shared their initiatives that they've been working on. Academic Affairs has the Academic Advisor Feedback Act on the floor tonight for its first read, with the Registrar's Page Information Enhancement Resolution being tabled for now, and I will sit for questions.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. We'll move to 3.6, report from Diversity, Empowerment, and Inclusion, Chairperson Haynes.
Hi, good evening, everybody. So at the top of everything, I had my session today, my little presentation today for you all. So that happened. Hopefully it went well. Hopefully I'll retain something. Last week, committee did not meet, but that does not mean that we did not do work. So first of all, I had my first listening session for the session with Black Student Union Exec Board to better understand the issues of Black students on campus and what SGA can do to assist these students. We talked about issues like hypervigilance at campus events, that kind of stuff that affects like the mental health of our Black students. So I'll be working with a bunch of other people to both in SGA and on campus and with Black Student Union to rectify these issues. Agency updates. So Black Student Union had their family reveal and game night last week. They're hosting an event tomorrow in Hubbard Hall, room 208, I believe at 6 p.m. Yeah, thank you. And then they're having a community service event on Friday with Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, making Halloween baskets from 6 to 7 in RSC 257. Their next general body meeting is on the 22nd. For Halo, I will have my listening session with them on October 16th. Today, they had their pastry sale from 11 to 1 on the first floor of the RSC. Currently, Zumba is going on right now. There's a midnight is tonight from 7 to 9 p.m. So if you get out early, you could head over there in the little thing. And then they will have outdoor painting with ADI on October 10th from 2 to 4 p.m. in the Hubbard Lawn. For ASC, this is their Big Little Week, so you can. They had their Big Little reveal, I believe it was yesterday, at their general body meeting. Other things regarding them, I will have my listening session literally just confirmed before Senate on October 22nd at their next general body meeting. They're looking to attend the MASU conference at KU. They have a LinkedIn workshop on October 16th from 2 to 4 p.m. in RC 203. And then they're also looking at programming their Across Asia Week, which is October 21st through the 25th. And they're looking at doing Asian Fest on October 12th. Finally, last but not least, ISU listening session to be determined, and when I get that date, I will update y'all. They hosted a successful Cricket World Cup tournament with 8 teams. They're looking at Interfest on October 30th, and the Soccer World Cup is on October 18th. And we have a lot of teams across campus and different organizations and agencies fielding teams, and actually, some of them are practicing right now. So be on the lookout for that. And it's time for any questions.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. We'll move to 3.7, report from Student Services, Chairperson Adriana Owens.
Hello, everyone. Earlier today, my committee met with the Academic Affairs Committee in a joint committee to discuss initiatives. There's a lot, so just bear with me. So, Director of Wellness and Sustainability and I have been looking into legislation and events related to recycling contracts with the university, food and water usage, usage of native foliage, and more. I've been working with Advocate Wassinger related to accessibility on campus, including academic accommodations, student employee accommodations, and online options for RSOs and agency meetings upon request. My hope is to create an accessibility task force or commission to address these issues. Senator Hansen and Senator Hatch have been working on revamping a resolution passed last session regarding security cameras on campus. Senator Stinnett has been writing about an on-campus housing and the usage of communal spaces, routine cleaning, and pay/retention rates for custodial staff, implementing weather stripping on the balcony of student housing to prevent mold and mildew, and addressing housing overflow. Senator Circle has been working on parking during extreme weather events and air filtration standards for on-campus housing and classrooms. Senator Pizzini has been working on RA training and introducing required disability training, along with a better communication between RAs concerning ESAs, which are emotional support animals, and related to their support overall for residents. And Senator Garike has been working on preventative maintenance checks on all main and side doors to ensure safety of students, to address flooding on first floor housing, and reassessment of the current action plan for severe weather events so that students have a standard for operating procedure with effective shelter for students. I encourage you all to contact these students or me if you're interested in collaborating on these issues. I would also request that if you email me, please do so through my SGA email and not my university email, because I will not see it or answer it. Finally, I encourage that you all use fall break wisely to take a much-needed break. I know that Speaker Owen said to work on SGA if necessary. I encourage you not to do that and focus your efforts on being a student and a person outside of this space so that we can all get a break, because being in this space is a lot. I also encourage that you start working on a timeline for your resolutions and legislation overall so that you can get a better understanding of when you want your legislation to be on the floor, to avoid being stagnant within your resolutions and legislation, because if you don't have a distinct timeline, it can then get a little muddled, and you can sometimes wait so long to where it can't be passed that session, which is sad and unfortunate. So we want your work to be put to good use, and so work on those timelines and also contact your chairs because they have a better understanding of what those timelines might look like. I'm open to questions.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you very much. We'll move to 3.8, report from Central Office. Central Office, is there anything?
Hi. Just two things really quick. One, the student government office will be closed on Monday and Tuesday because of fall break. So there won't be anyone in there because they're all going to go take a break as well. So that is just FYI there. The Shocker Sport Locker will remain open during fall break. So if any of your constituents need to utilize that space, student staff will continue to keep that space open for Monday and Tuesday. That's the end for that part. So I'm happy to answer any questions, and then I'll jump into the election update afterwards.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, then feel free to move to 3.9, announcement of midterm election.
So we did finish the election for midterm last week. Those new senators, 10 of them will join the Senate on the 23rd. They are going to be reached out to later this week by the Speaker so that we can begin their onboarding process. That will probably provide opportunities for run committee assignments, so I'm sure our chairs are excited to have some new members joining them here soon. This was our first time doing a midterm election, one in my entire career of student governments, and this is my 12th student government that I've worked with, but also our first time here. So if you have any thoughts, feedback, questions, comments, concerns, please let me know. I'm sure also Chair Bobbitt would love to hear those concerns as well. If there's anything that we can do differently, of course, lessons learned on a couple of things that we'll be better prepped for in the next year. So if there are any comments or things like that, please do not hesitate to reach out. And that is the end of that report.
Are there any questions about that? Wonderful. Seeing none, thank you very much. Now we'll move to Section 4, Public Forum and Presentations. Public forum provides a chance for individuals to have the privilege of speaking before the Senate. This is a time for the association to listen to what the community has to say, and to that we offer undivided respect and attention. I'd like to remind everyone that although we allow the speaker the privilege to use this platform, the opinions of the speaker do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the association or the university. First, we have Dion Samuel.
Hello. Hey, I'm Dion. I'm here not as the International Senator right now. I'm here as the Director of Marketing for the International Student Union. So about 10 days ago, we had this wonderful event that ISU did. It was the ISU Cricket World Cup. We had about 150 people show up throughout the day. It was an entire day event. It started at about like 7 a.m. It went all the way to 8 p.m. So about 13 hours of cricket and food and a whole lot of fun, a whole lot of internationals showed up. It was especially the South Asian international community that showed up. It was not just for students. It wasn't just undergrads and graduates. It was undergrads, graduates, alumni, members of the South Asian community of Wichita. A lot of people showed up. That's that second slide right there. That's a picture of 3 of the organizations that took part. There was 6 organizations that took part. So if you could go back to the second slide. So that's the Nepalese Student Association, the Pakistani Student Association. Both of them, they had 2 teams each. The Sri Lankan Culture Association. Next slide. There's the Muslim Students Association, the Indian Student Association, and the Bangladeshi Student Association. You can see in that third picture, the Bangladeshi Student Association, y'all can see like there's like students, there's like kids, there's like a lot of different people with the Wichita community. That's what ISU is always about. It's not just about bringing students together, so it's about bringing like the whole international community together, because there's not a whole lot of internationals at Wichita, so we're trying to bring everybody together, create like a crossover. That's what a lot of people who came to the Cricket World Cup, they told me like it felt like a crossover event, a lot of different South Asian communities coming together. I think it was a wonderful crossover sort of thing. And the next slide. On top of the cricket, it wasn't just cricket the whole day. It was also a whole lot of food. We had the Indian Student Association, the Nepalese Student Association, the Sri Lankan Culture Association, and the Bangladeshi Student Association. The four of them, they did a whole lot of selling. Sold a lot of food at the event. It was really good. Some of them, they even like cooked on the spot. You can see the Nepalese Association, the second picture right there. They kind of made some food on the spot. Some really good, authentic South Asian food. If you could go to the next picture, the next slide. So that picture right there, that's the last picture of the day. I think the best picture of the day. So cricket, like most other sports, doesn't end on a draw. It doesn't end on a tie. You keep playing till somebody wins the game. But the final on that day was between the Pakistani Student Association and the Indian Student Association. And somehow we kind of went like 20 minutes past sunset, and we couldn't play anymore. We couldn't break the draw. So we had to decide to split, like do a joint champion sort of thing between the Pakistanis and the Indians. And that was a really tense and kind of special moment. For those of y'all who don't know the context between Pakistan and India, it's like a big rivalry, eternal rivalry that goes into society, culture, and all of that. And this picture, I think it's my favorite picture from the day. Both of the captains, Shoaib and Rishi, they came together to share the trophy. Really special moment right there. You can go to the next slide. So that's a picture of the ISU exec team this year. A little about the recent history of ISU. So the International Student Union, we used to be the biggest, one of the biggest RSOs, agencies on campus about just before COVID, but COVID kind of decimated ISU. We pretty much went extinct for a couple of years. We just went totally off the radar. I think that's why I think even in this room, a lot of people don't know much about ISU because of that. We just completely like went down. Last year, SGA played a big part in it. SGA and Tab and Radif, our last president, they sort of resurrected ISU. And this, if last year was sort of like our resurrection season, this is like the comeback season. And this Cricket World Cup is like a big W for us. 150 people showed up. And I think every event we did, this is our second event of the semester, and it just keeps going up. The engagement, the people showing up, we just keep getting bigger and bigger. I think we'll soon get back to what we used to be. So this is our team. We've been working really hard this semester. We got, AJ mentioned it before, but we got the Futsal World Cup, the Indoor Soccer World Cup next Friday, and we got Interfest, which is October 30th, Wednesday, middle of the day. It'll be RSC North Patio, and y'all can show up and enjoy a lot of food. I think we're expecting about 12 different countries to be vending at the event. So we got a lot of things planned. We're trying to get ISU back on top. I got to mention Caitlin Nolan from SEB. She's been helping us throughout the semester with all of our events. And for the Cricket World Cup, Sai Karthik, the president of the WSU Cricket Club, he helped us a lot. So the Cricket World Cup, Caitlin and Sai, they helped us a lot for this event. So a big thanks, a big shout out to them. And yeah, see y'all at Interfest and the Futsal World Cup. Thanks.
Okay, we'll move to Matthew Fawn.
Hi everyone, I'm here not as the Student Body Vice President, but as the President of the Community Service Board. So for those of you that don't know, Community Service Board is one of the largest student organizations on campus that deals with community service. We do a lot of volunteering, but today I really wanted to talk about Moose Big Event. So Moose Big Event is our largest service event that we have each semester. This year we're aiming for 300 or so volunteers. Right now we have 145 spots left, so we're getting there, but the event will be on October 16th, so coming up real soon. But I'm going to talk a little bit about what Moose Big Event is about and what we kind of aim to do with that. So Moose Big Event, as I said, is our largest community service event. We provide busing and everything to around 15 nonprofits around the city of Wichita, so that volunteers can really experience what it's like to volunteer at these nonprofits and really be more familiar with what these organizations do. It's a really great experience. You get to meet a lot of different types of volunteers, different organizations, and all of that. But how our day kind of looks is we'll have our check-in process from 8:30 to 8:50 and Hubbard 208. So we'll have our check-in at those times. We are accepting people that come that don't register, but they will have to wait longer before all of those that registered on our website. But we will provide breakfast and lunch on those days. Our lunch is to be Pizza Hut if that's a motivation for anyone. But and we also provide free T-shirts and everything. We'll leave at 9 o'clock, and we'll have our buses take people to a bunch of different sites, and then volunteers will work until 12 o'clock, where we will start bringing people back. And once we bring people back, we'll start serving lunch and have a reflection period. But how you register is through Volunteer ICT. That's our website that we use to register for all of our volunteering events. So not just WU's big event, but we also have around 13 different types of events throughout the year. So if any of you are interested in that, I am more than happy to share the link. But if you have any questions about WU's big event or Community Service Board, you can contact CSB at wichita.edu. But if anyone has any questions about that, I am more than happy to answer it.
Are there any questions? Senator Mallard.
I think you said the wrong date. I think I heard you say the 16th. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but it is the 19th.
Yes, it is the 19th. I misspoke. Yeah, it is on the 19th. I meant to say that registration closes on the 16th. So, yeah.
Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you. Oh, yes. Okay, and then next we have Haley Enns. Okay, go for it.
All right, howdy everyone. Hope your evening's going all right. I'm not coming to you as Senator Knuckles, but as the Deliberative Dialogue Chair. I did not make up the name for it. I'm sorry, it is a mouthful. There's a reason I'm not the marketing delegate though, so. Yeah, October 21st, we are having our Deliberative Dialogue Dinner, which again, I did not come up with the name of, does not roll off the tongue. I've been shortening it to Triple D, but that also doesn't really work. So anyway, the point of this event is, if you guys have ever been to, I think the Lord's Diner, they kind of do it. You go in there, you pick a table, it'll have, like one of our topics is housing and higher education. If you choose that table, there'll be two moderators at that table. You choose two of the topics from that category, and then you discuss it in a nice, formal, civil manner. I think this should be a pretty good event. We're expecting a decent turnout, but spots are limited. I don't know if you guys can scan that. It might be a little too low. If you could you zoom in on the QR code? I don't know if you can. Thank you. Yeah, it's also in the SEB leadership, which I assume all of you are in. Yeah. But yeah, we've been planning this event for quite a while, and Haley Enns is not here today as she had a family emergency come up last minute, so she asked me to do this since I'm helping her plan it. I'll just go over the basic ground rules of the event real quick so you guys can kind of get an idea of what we're looking at. Listen to other voices, consider each approach fairly. Everyone is encouraged to participate. It's okay to disagree, but do so with curiosity, not hostility. Keep an open mind. And then everybody kind of agrees to those rules, and there'll be a little reflection period at the end. And of course, the reason everybody's going to show up, free food. I know, big expensive for a lot of you guys. But the reason I'm doing this presentation is we need 8 moderators. So far, to my knowledge, only myself and Senator Stinnett over there have signed up. If you would like to be a moderator, please let Haley Enns know. She's in the big SEB leadership group chat if you just want to message her on there. Or email her. I believe her email is not Haley Enns. I believe it is CSBgrad. At least that's the email she keeps sending me emails from. So, yeah, also, if you do want to sign up for it, the sign up is on Shocker Sync. You have to RSVP. I am sorry, spots are limited. We are catering for this, and it is kind of expensive, and we are not working with all of SGA's budget. We're working with the Shockers Vote budget, which is significantly smaller. That's all I have for this event. One last thing before I go. October 7th, Monday, was Lauren Bellu's birthday, and I would just like to wish her a happy belated birthday. If you know her, you know, she is a joy to be around. Matthew Fawn over here, our president, or our vice president, works as the president of CSB. I'm sorry, you're the VP and president of so many different things. You work pretty closely with her. You can attest to her character. Dr. Advisor Gabriel Fonseca over there also works with her. She's a great person. Yeah, that's all I have. Any questions?
Are there any questions? Senator Murphy.
So signing up for a moderator, could you like mark that down as like volunteer hours or something to that effect? I'm just curious on that.
I would vouch for you,
Okay.
if that's what you mean.
I'm just wondering.
I would say that's volunteer hours, personally, because you're giving your time to help facilitate something. So yes, I would, if you asked me to vouch for your volunteer hours and you did that, I would vouch for that.
Are there any other questions? Senator Lewis.
If you volunteer to be a moderator, what information are you given about what you moderate?
Great question. We are going to have a moderator kind of training, I believe. Let me check my calendar real quick. I hopefully put it down. I believe it's on the 19th, but let me just double check here. And of course, my computer's being slow. Hold on here, I'm sorry. It is on Friday the 18th, 10 to 1. You will sign up for a different, like I mentioned, we're going to have tables with different topics. So if you don't really particularly care about housing, okay, you can go do healthcare. We have a handful of topics that we're going to do. And then from there, you'll be given a sheet. And each sheet, I think, has 5 or 6 off the top of my head, different routes for you to go down, different things to discuss, and they'll have little bullet points. And I wish we had it up here, but Haley Enns, she made an adorable little cute ghost graphic, and it is just the cutest thing ever, and I have been obsessing over it. She's amazing at doing this stuff, so much better than I ever could be. So, any other questions?
Are there any other questions? Seeing none, thank you. Also, for that event, it'd be a great space for all of you to start talking to constituents, talk to students about issues, especially if you're doing resolutions on housing and those kinds of things. It's a great space to, as a leader, come together to students to kind of facilitate those conversations. So definitely take part in it if you're available. It's a fantastic opportunity to put your money where your mouth is and to really start those conversations and to make sure you're advocating for students and allowing for those conversations to take place. Beyond that, our next person we have is Annie Wassinger.
It's actually a perfect time to talk about accessibility. Okay, so if you don't know who I am, I'm Annie Wassinger. I'm the undergraduate student advocate. For technical purposes, I'm just a student right now. But if it does help you to know, I once sat in your seats. I was a freshman senator, and then I was an at-large senator. So I do understand some of the nuances of being a senator, especially the feeling of powerlessness that can sometimes happen when you are very passionate and you want to help students and you feel like all you can do is write a resolution and hope that somebody cares. So today I'm not going to talk to you about resolutions or about writing legislation. I'm going to talk to you about something that you can do, something your constituents can do, something anyone on this campus can do, and I really encourage you to do it as much as you can. So this is the Report It website. So it's just wichita.edu / or I think it's a / services / student affairs / report it, yada, yada, yada. Okay? So if you scroll down a little bit, there's a lot that you can read that on your own. We'll mainly just go to the options. Okay, so there's lots of options here, and there's even a little bit more, which we'll scroll down to eventually, I guess. We'll talk about these for now. Okay, so these are all going to lead you into a form that is secure and goes to Maxient. Maxient is the conduct platform that all of the university uses. So you can file a care team report. I'm sure most of you know how to file a care team report. We're gonna skip that one. Then you could file academic integrity. Pretty sure everyone knows what that is. Conduct incident response. I'm pretty sure we know what this is. Okay, now we get to the fun part. So we're gonna click on Title IX/discrimination. Okay, here's our statement from Wichita State. We don't tolerate discrimination, yada, yada, yada. Now we're gonna go down a little bit. It says, once the report is completed, it is sent to the Office of Civil Rights, Title IX, and ADA Compliance, also known as CTAC. So if you're a person on campus who's very frustrated that there's a door downstairs in the flats of the flats entrance that no longer opens, even though it's an ADA compliant door, you can go here, scroll down a little bit. Nature of report, please choose. Accessibility, go down. Location of the incident, and you can do Shocker Hall A, flats the courtyard, whole bunch of different places. So for example, if you wanted to report for, let's think of another real life example. The Shocker Success Center ramp. If you would like to report that ramp, you can go in and you can report it. So you'd go into Shocker Success Center. And then if you wanted to report it, you could report it for being too steep for most wheelchair users, for being a surface that is too slick for most mobility aids, et cetera, et cetera. Now I want to tell you a little bit about what happens when you do use this. First off, you can use this as much as you want. So I like to do this on Mondays. So on Mondays, I sit in my office or at home and I file a report on every door that hasn't been fixed yet, including Brayburn Square, which we were talking about earlier in our joint leadership meeting. But if you didn't know, I also work at Starbucks, and every week I actually report Starbucks for not having an ADA compliant door, which is something you can all do as well. So there are many places on campus that are not accessible, and the only reason why these things remain inaccessible, despite there being the ADA, is just because the people who care don't know how to report it, and a lot of people just don't care. So as students who I know care for other students, I would really encourage you to use this. You just go, once again, to report it, Title IX, discrimination. You can list the nature of the report as accessibility. You can do any door. You can do this all the time. I know people, faculty, who literally will do this weekly on different doors. There's also a portion here, I think if we go down a little bit, maybe a little more. Okay, so then it says, like, please remedy the situation. How would you like this report to be pursued? So if you click please choose, and you say, like, no action, just want to provide information, that's fine. More power to you. I'm glad you did that. If you want to say meet with staff or formal investigation, that means that CTAC has to reach out to you. So each week I get an email saying they called Starbucks corporate, and they're trying to figure it out. So please do with what you can with this information and tell all of your friends. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in public forum? Oh, okay, Senator Mallard, and then we'll get to you, AJ.
I just wanted to speak a little bit on WU's big event as well. Like I said, we only have 145 spots still open, and for those of you who don't know, it is a very massive volunteer service. And obviously, you're here in student government, and you do like to help people, and obviously, you know a lot of people. So if you could just spread the word, it does have a massive impact on people's lives. And I've been doing it. I think I've been doing it for 3 years. This will be my 4th year, I think, and I'm going to be a site leader. And I always go to Habitat for Humanity. And for those of you who don't know, a lot of that is physically building a house for someone who cannot afford one. And being able to provide a living space for people is essential. And but just saying this out there as well, that because you're in student government and you need to reach out to people, that is an event where you have a lot of people. We're wanting, 300 people. If you just show up and you go to a site and you could speak to someone and be like, hey, so how are you doing? And then we already had this talk about how to speak to people and whatnot. And then a second thing, just on a different note, I just wanted to plug this out there. The geology department has decorated for Halloween. So if you enter the building, there are 2 inflatable dinosaurs. We actually have a 13-foot dinosaur in one of the rooms and a T-Rex, as well as free rocks, candy, and mini dinosaurs. As well as if you go to the outside of the building, the trees are covered in lights. They only light up at night. So and when you're done with Senate, if you walk by it, you should see some cool lights as well as some decorations throughout the whole department. That's it.
Thank you. Chairperson Haynes?
Good evening, everybody. Let me take off my chairperson hat for a second. I'm coming to y'all as AJ Haynes, the chapter president of the Delta Mu chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. I'm just here to plug our first thing, which would be our voter registration event tomorrow, first floor at RSC from 11 to 1 p.m. So come out, get registered to vote. The voter registration deadline is closing in Kansas. I believe it is October 15th. So y'all gonna be at Fallbert when it happens. We're trying to get y'all registered to vote before we leave for break. Second, October 30th is our Miss Black and Gold informational session. So for those who don't know, Miss Black and Gold is our scholarship pageant that we do just to give back to the women on campus. It gives them the opportunity to highlight their intelligence and their talent, as well as their platforms, causes that they're passionate about. So it's a great opportunity to just showcase yourself, get a good platform, and also win some money, y'all. We have a lot of prizes, a lot of prize money for y'all. So if y'all don't take it, it goes back to the chapter. So I don't know what to tell y'all from there. So yes, October 30th at 7:06 p.m. Please come out and support. Yeah, I will stand for any questions.
Are there any questions? Senator Lewis?
Sorry, what was the time that the voter registration drive tomorrow is?
Yes, voter registration is from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. RSC first floor.
Are there any other questions? Seeing none, thank you so much. Is there any, yes, sorry. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak in public forum? Okay, hey, lots of people, good stuff. Okay, we move to, once I find it in my thing. Okay, good stuff. Section 5, approval of consent agenda. Are there any objections to approving the consent agenda as such? Wonderful. Seeing none, it is approved. Bless you. We move to section 6, and there is none. So we move to section 7, consideration of new business 7.1.
Act on request to approve AR-67-008 Academic Advisor Feedback Act.
Is the author here and like to speak? You have the floor.
So this was a resolution that we worked as a whole in our committee, so props to everyone who worked on it. But obviously there's a lot of issues with academic advising where a lot of colleges, and it does vary, the colleges might not have enough advisors, or the college, some people have a very long wait time. And so whereas the students have issues with academic advisors not being accessible in a timely manner, and that ties into the inadequate availability of advisors during the enrollment season leads to delays in registration. Like for me, for example, I was on a 2-month wait list, which does not mean that it means that I cannot get my classes. Some engineers are, there's not enough advisors. And what we basically threw forward was that the advising office has it be a requirement to send out, or urges them to send out the advisor survey, because there is a survey, but some people go to academic advising, and when they go, they either just don't get the survey, even though we are told that you do get it, as well as someone from me. I didn't even go see the advisor. I was able to get it bypassed. I didn't get the survey, but I wasn't able to tell them that I was put on a 2-month wait list, and I wouldn't have been able to even apply for any of my classes. Along with the entirety of the geology department, most of the anthropology department, a lot of departments have this problem where you cannot sign up for classes in a timely manner. There is some wording stuff that I'll be fixing over fall break, but that is basically the gist of it. Just ensure that academic advising gets a lot more information and will be able to enhance their processes. I do stand for questions.
Are there any questions? Okay, seeing none. This will go to the Academic Affairs Committee. And we move to 7.2, which has been tabled I'm tabling it at the discretion of the author who has asked me to. So then we move directly to 7.3.
Act on request to approve SB-67-106, authorize an expenditure from the Special Projects and Capital Fund to replace the roof of the Radigan Student Center.
Is the author here and would like to speak? You have the floor.
Hello and good evening, everyone. First of all, I would like to say it is way too damn cold in here. I had to go and get a hoodie from my office because I'm chilly. Anyways, moving on. I hope you guys' week has gone well so far. Hopefully midterms aren't treating you too badly. I know I'm staying afloat barely, so go me. But this bill is pretty straightforward. We're pulling out $500,000 from the Special Projects and Capital Fund to help fund the down payment for the roof of the Radigan Student Center because it's leaking and it needs some repairs. So, does anyone have any questions?
Are there any questions? Okay. Oh, Chairperson Bobbitt?
I know you had mentioned that this is a down payment. Do you have an idea of what the total cost of the replacement will be and/or who's partnering with us on that?
I'm going to refer that one to Dr. Advisor Fonseca.
That was weird. The total cost of the project is about $900,000. The Radigan Student Center will be will be covering the difference of the $400,000 for the year to get the project started.
Any other questions? And just a reminder that this is its first and final read on this bill, so ask what you can before you throw your vote in the ring. Senator Lewis?
How severe is the leaking in the roof?
So maybe clarify a couple things. So the roof itself was not renovated when the last time the building was renovated in 2012. So it is about when I had a conversation with the executive director of the building, Kevin Conda, it's about a 25-year roof, and we are on year 30 of 25. So you can imagine that didn't work out so well. As we have looked at this project for almost about 4 different sessions now, because we did have a conversation in previous sessions of student government to renovate the building and include the roof in that project, because we're no longer moving forward with the renovation at this time. We do want to begin addressing the roof part of the old side of the Radigan Student Center building, which is this side, right? Yep, this side of the building. Really also, instead of trying to wait longer before the project gets much more expensive or until it continues to deteriorate, this is probably the right time for us to begin this project at this time. So we are way over past the lifetime of this roof.
Senator Murphy?
Thank you. Was there like a specific notable instance of leakage? Because this is the first time I'm hearing about this. Can someone attest to that?
So maybe to clean up, it will eventually get to that point. So it's not actively in the middle of it, but we are at year 30 of a 25-year-old roof. So I don't know anything about roofs, but I will tell you this: 30 over 25 feels like it's probably not going to last much longer. So I don't want it to to be out there that there's damage happening in the building or things like that. This is really nuts for us to begin this process so that we can prevent other things from happening long term, and or so that the project doesn't get more expensive down the road if we continue to wait.
Can I clarify something as well?
Of course you can.
I know that Senate can sometimes be a little stingy about money, which I agree. We shouldn't be just throwing money out like candy. But it shows on the bill the balance if approved, and we do have a lot of that like pre-allocated to different things, like for example funding the roof or funding the reserves or things like that. But even after we pay for all of the things that we'd like to pay for with this fund, we will still have like upwards of $700-something thousand as fully discretionary funding that we can use for whatever we want to, within reason of course. And then that fund repeats itself next year. So if we're worried about like the cost of all of this and over allocating money, that is not something that we need to be worrying about to alleviate any pressure if that's what someone's thinking right now.
I also will say something before I get to you, Senator Miller. In discussions with having meetings with board of directors, which we are on, it was definitely a discussion where the roof it's going to be fixed. We are going to have to use this funding to do so. This is an opportune time to do so, and additionally, it would be taking out that $500,000 out of discretionary funding to a place where we can't touch it, which is an appropriate measure to do so to ensure that that funding is safe for when we fix the roof. Additionally, this was, Gabe, correct me if I'm wrong, a discussion also that happened around the time that it was making a decision about expanding the RSC. It was a broader discussion about those kinds of things, and when those plans halted, it was a decision of, hey, okay, this needs to happen as soon as possible because this is going to become a problem and preventative measures are incredibly important. So it sounds like a lot of money, but this is a discussion that has been happening for a while. It's already a decision, and as this body is responsible for helping sustain certain aspects of the RSC, it is within our jurisdiction to fund this. Also, it's going to happen. So this is a good faith measure to say, hey, we're putting this in this little area so we can't touch it so that we can begin building that fund to repair the roof. Senator Miller.
So I know you said you don't really know much about roofs, but what material is the roof made out of?
I
Dave?
don't know that question, but if David Kidd wants to come up here and give us that answer. David Kidd, everybody.
Okay. So the roof that we're talking about replacing, it's called a cold tar pitch roof. So it's essentially layers of like felt paper and tar mixed with like gravel, and it's built up pretty thick. Like Gabriel said, it's designed to be about a 25-year roof. We are actually beyond 30 years. When they renovated this building 10 plus years ago, they opted not to replace any of the existing roof. So the new roof it's like styrofoam that has a rubber membrane on top of it, so which is very common for commercial buildings. That, I think, is what we're looking at going to for what we're replacing. I can answer to some extent the leak. So to give you some idea, every time we get like a lot of rain, we replace a lot of ceiling tiles. So we are hiding the damage from you. Okay, one of those leaks is actually right outside this room. So every time it rains, we have to replace about 4 ceiling tiles. Every time it rains in the card center, we have to replace about 8 ceiling tiles because they get soaked and cave. So there are active leaks. The more rain we get, the worse the leaks are, of course. But yeah, we're way past due for getting this roof fixed. Did that answer your question?
Part of it.
Excuse
Okay.
me, 1 second. Are there any other questions? Please raise your hand. Okay, Senator Miller.
So is it like showing any of the other signs? I know like roof leaks, yes, if you're covering that up, that's really good because I didn't even know there was a leak. So if that's one of the telltale signs of the roof needing replaced, have we considered like other options for roofing that may be better because like I think it was coal tar pitch roofs can be pretty harmful to the environment because they have PAHs, like, and whenever it gets hot, it starts releasing like basically bad chemicals into the air that can like irritate skin. It can cause different issues for breathing, and it's just overall bad for the environment. Have we ever like discussed other options for roofing that would be good, better for the environment?
So if you recall, I said that's the roof that's on there now. 30 years ago, all the stuff you just mentioned was not on anybody's radar. You know, it's like, I'll throw one out for Annie. ADA was not a thing until the 1990s. So every building that was built before 1999 on this campus doesn't meet ADA because it wasn't a thing. Okay? So we're probably not going to go back to coal tar pitch. I almost guarantee it. One of the perks about why coal tar pitch was popular back in the day for this area, in the summer when it gets hot in Kansas, it heated all that back up to where that tar kind of melted again and filled in all the cracks. That only works so many times. That's where the 25-year thing comes in. So if I remember correctly from the discussions that we've had, the plan is to go back in with the same type of roof that's on the new part of the building. Okay?
Okay, and before we get into any other questions, just a reminder, this is about the funding allocation of $500,000, not necessarily about what the new roof would be, although I appreciate discussion about that. But just so we don't get in the weeds here, that is not a decision we are making, and it's not within our jurisdiction to do so unless someone wants to create a resolution, which is not on the floor today. So let's bring it back to the $500,000 amount, ask your questions so we can get into the debate period and move on. Chairperson Bobbitt.
This one's going to be directed at Dr. Fonseca. Does the starting balance reflect previous expenditures, or is that something we need to consider as well?
If the starting balance on the bill is the 2.037, that was the original balance that went into it. The current balance, which I believe is the line right below it, it shows the $75,000 withdrawal that we made already. If the bill is approved, I think the third row would show this would be the balance of the fund if this bill is approved.
Any other questions pertaining to this specifically? Fantastic. Thank you both so much, and also you also, and then thank you, David, also. So that brings us into the debate period on this item. Is there anyone who'd like to speak? Senator Snett?
We need a roof. The money's going to have to be spent anyway. Just vote yes.
Is there anyone else who'd like to speak? Chairperson Bobbitt?
I am usually firmly in the camp that advocates against spending money, but like Senator Stinnett said, it's something that needs to be done. We will get to the point in the budget that we have discretion and can fund things or things that improve quality of life. But right now, this isn't a fund or an expenditure that is necessary, and it is a large contributing factor to why this fund was established in the first place in the previous session. I have talked about it before of not using these funds for reasons that they were not intended. This is one of the reasons that was intended, and I would support the expenditure.
Senator Mallard.
Yeah, I'll be speaking in affirmation. For those of you who don't know, I actually worked contracting work for several years, and I've dealt with roofs. And like we said, the cost right now is $500,000. But if we were to wait for longer and longer, and more damages happen, we're not only also replacing the ceiling tiles, which is also costing us money, but now you're going to have to start fixing the infrastructure, which could increase the money from 500,000 to a much higher number, which in turn would make it really bad for the senators in the future, because they're like, oh, now it's 600, and maybe if we wait, 5-10 years, if we were to, 700, so on and so forth. So doing it right now is very essential to not just the building, but also to student government, the fees and funding and everything else.
Senator Miller.
I would like to speak in affirmation because since this roof has gotten so old and it's not really meeting its same qualities, that the reason why it was installed, it's not really doing that anymore. It's just releasing deadly, or not deadly, but harmful chemicals into the air, and that is not only bad for our local environment, but also bad for students and faculty and staff, because they're going to have to inherently, some of that chemical could reach them, and that's not really good for their health.
Is there anyone speaking against this resolution? Okay. Okay. Chairperson Haynes.
I'm not speaking against. I move to approve with unanimous consent.
I was shocked, but hey, I've seen a lot in this chamber. Okay, so we all have seen this before. This can happen with funding bills, right? Give me a nod. Snazzy stuff. Okay, are there any objections to approving this with unanimous consent? Okay, seeing none, it is approved. Let me get back to the start of my document. It's miles away. Okay, now we move to section 8, adjournment. I adjourn this meeting at 8:37 p.m. Although if you are a pro temp or a chairperson, stay behind. Because I said so, and come up here, please. Thank you.